So I am thrilled to have corporate attorney Elizabeth Hodgeson with Fox Rothschild Law Firm here with us today to talk about business structures and why it matters.
Yes.
I thought the title of this was really very fitting. Excuse the pun. Business structures are like outfits. Why choosing the correct structure matters. When I first met you, I was awestruck. I know a lot of corporate attorneys and have met a lot in my career, but there is something very different about you. There's a magic to you. I would call you a unicorn. Truly and truly. As a corporate attorney working in a corporate law firm, you tend to get a little corporate-y. But you have a little bit of an entrepreneur-like DNA that I think mirrors a lot of the clients that you have. I don't know that you know that about yourself. I think it might be a new thing. But I think that's what I saw in you that made it such an easy fit. So what is your superpower, Liz Hodgeson? Like Linda Carter, like Wonder Woman? What is it?
Well, first of all, thank you for such a flattering introduction. I'm thrilled to be perceived that way. I would say my superpower is probably X-ray vision.
Really?
Yes.
Do tell.
Because I, like any good lawyer, really think through things and can really look deeply into a situation and really see the details and figure out what matters for the decision that I need to make. So, there's probably cooler superpowers to have.
I don't know.
That one's a
the
pretty good
words
one.
between the words is really
Yes.
kind of what I'm ascertaining. X-ray would be the things that I'm not able to articulate myself.
Yes.
You may be able to anticipate.
Yes.
Which makes risk mitigation to an entrepreneur important.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So as you know, the Freckled Strawberry is a nonprofit organization dedicated and on a mission to empower financial independence as women. So Stephen Covey coined the phrase, begin with the end in mind, in his great book, 7 Habits to Highly Successful People. And I think writing your business story is important. That's one of the takeaways that I have had the ability to working with you, a takeaway that I've had is that when you're preparing your business structure, what do you want the end to look like? Because that can matter. You might not know, but what are the top 3 financial concerns that a lady boss or trailblazer should consider before launching a company?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. So I think the first thing to really be aware of is that it costs money to launch a company. And money spent in the beginning the right way is going to save you money in the long run. One of those is getting a lawyer involved early on, along with, a good accountant, a good insurance person, kind of your village in place, so you can make the right decisions in the beginning, because it's so much easier, even if it's a little bit feels expensive in the beginning when you're, living that entrepreneurial grind, to get things set up correctly and not have to go back and try to fix things years down the road.
That might be wrong.
That could be wrong and very costly. I mean, certainly there's some legal things that could be fixed that would be less of a big deal, but there's things that people mess up all the time in the beginning that you either can't really go back and fix, and then you just have to kind of accept the risk that you created for yourself, or if you can fix it, it's much more expensive and is just going to drive you crazy, versus if you just kind of slowed down, took the time and really got your village in place to get everything kind of launched correctly from the start.
Yeah. That's one of the things we talk about in the Freckled Strawberry is having the right people on your team. And in launching a company, it's the structure that can maximize the opportunity and minimize the down risk, the downward risk that someone could have. Things as little as the cookie policy on your website, the privacy policies on your website, things that have to be considered that can protect you, from things we don't see now. So how important do you think financial acumen is when you enter a new business venture?
It is so important, and it's definitely male or female. It's the trait that really sets an entrepreneur apart. And you can kind of tell, especially with all the clients that I've worked with, you really can tell, like, okay, this company has a really good chance of success because they have a really good founder / CEO in place, versus, you know, it's kind of 50-50 in the air. I mean, financial acumen is so important, and you really have to be able to talk the talk fluently with your prospective investors, with, you know, and that doesn't even have to be, you know, some old rich guy that might kick in some money.
Yeah.
It could be you're going to a bank to get a loan. You're dealing with customers or suppliers or distributors. You really have to be able to really have the business acumen and the financial acumen that goes along with that to be taken seriously and to have the credibility that you need to succeed.
To get people to say yes, I would imagine they have to have the confidence that you're going to spend the money that they're either investing in your company from an equity position or even a debt contract that you've put together for them.
Absolutely.
That they'll be frugal and spend it correctly.
Absolutely. And the other thing that's so important is it's so crucial to keep your independence. I mean, certainly, you know, you're going to have your village, you're going to have your lawyer, your accountant, you're going to have your friends, your family. You might eventually have employees or contractors. But like, the thing that entrepreneurs love is it's their idea. They're making the decisions. They're in the driver's seat. And the minute that you don't have the business or financial acumen to make decisions at the end of the day by yourself, you're relying on somebody else or somebody else's expertise. And you're kind of giving away that independence that is really like the heartbeat of entrepreneurship.
There's that look in your eye again, Liz. That's the thing that makes you different. It's that fire that you totally understand what an entrepreneur is feeling and going through, and you just anticipated it. Stay in control, or stay in the driver's seat of your company. Mm-hmm. Here's what you need to do so that you can maintain that position. Having independence, ultimately, the decision is up to the entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. The buck stops here, right? If a bad decision is made, wouldn't you rather have an informed decision than just trusting fate or shaking your head yes when you really don't understand something? That happens a lot in the space that we work in.
Absolutely. And you just leave yourself open to, you know, there's some bad apples out there. And so you leave yourself open to getting bad advice if you're not making the decision for yourself.
That's totally true. We had this discussion last week in a debate on being judicious with your relationships, who you let into that circle. You know, one of the things that the Freckled Strawberry talks about in the beginning is your personal manifesto, but we're talking about what you get from the Freckled Strawberry, what you get through the Freckled Strawberry, but that personal manifesto's heartbeat is through everything you're doing. Mm-hmm. So picking your team, it should mirror the values and beliefs that you have in your mission statement for your business. That team should reflect that. It should be in sync that way. Absolutely. So a woman is considering selling her company. She's got to that place where she's, you know, growth to mature, looking to now transition. What are the three most important things that she should be doing or thinking in preparation for having a talk with her attorney about selling her company?
Well, first of all, good for her to getting to that place, because like it takes a lot of work and not every business gets there. The first thing, it's probably the least fun and the most tedious, but you have to get all of your business records together. They have to be all in one place, and you have to be able to give them over to your attorney or the investment banker, that's whoever, get them in a place and get them into a data room, because that's just how businesses are sold. I mean, whoever's going to buy your company is going to want to look at your contracts, your formation documents, your financial statements, and you will save yourself a lot of legwork if before you're at the point where you're ready to put pen to paper on the documents, if you have everything in one place and you can just easily send that off to a potential buyer, that's like probably the most tedious part of the process, I would say. And I spoke about having your village, but I would also consult your village, because there's so many different ways you could sell a company. You could sell to a strategic buyer, one of your competitors who's looking to kind of scoop up the other companies in the market. You could sell to a PE-backed company. Both of those are going to be really different experiences. You might be selling to an employee who's been great and, is kind of the next, or your kids who are the next generation for your business. So you really want to figure out what is best for you financially, but also like what makes sense if you want this business to continue in a certain way. Those 3 buyers are not going to be the same experience post-closing as they would otherwise. And then the other thing that I would recommend is just brace yourself emotionally, because especially if you founded this company, it's going to take a lot of time and energy to get to closing, but it's an emotional roller coaster. I mean, not just for women either. I've seen like the most hardened old men who build a company and really have problems like letting go of the reins and acknowledging that part of their lives, that their baby that they built is being passed over. So it actually is like more of it's kind of like a divorce in a way.
Yeah.
It's a little emotional.
Letting go of something that you've built. I love what you said. You actually said women who are thinking about selling, women, anyone, but women specifically that are thinking about selling their companies and creating a legacy or succeeding to their kids. That is not a conversation that women have typically. Women will talk about getting the salary, making the grade, getting that great health insurance package, getting recognized as a top producer, making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, maybe getting up to $750,000. That's great. But what they don't talk about is the legacy and actually building a business that they could give to their kids. That is something that's very typical in a conversation a man will have. Yes. It's not a competition between men and women and who's doing it, who isn't. It's more about why can't women have that conversation and think about generating multiple revenue streams for themselves to leave a legacy for their kids. How cool is that? Very that you cool. Said that. It just, that is, if I could have anything in leave in my lifetime, that women could have more conversations about legacy building for their families and champion for their families. So in the spirit of the Freckled Strawberry, what's one morsel of information that you believe a woman needs to know today?
Wow. I think that, don't be a barrier to your own success. And I think women more frequently do that than men. It's so easy for us to say.
The old second guess.
Yeah, and that kind of, goes to having the financial acumen. Like, put yourself in the driver's seat to make your own decisions. And don't not step up to the plate for an opportunity. Or don't, say I'm too busy because, my kids, everyone is so busy and, I certainly get it, but, I find myself doing that too. Like, it's too easy to kind of be like your own worst enemy.
Yeah. And
kind of take yourself out of positioning yourself for success. Like, sometimes it's scary to kind of take the plunge and do it.
Scary to win.
Yeah.
But what if it works out?
Right.
What if it works out?
Exactly.
So if you're an entrepreneur, go for it. Don't be afraid. Be a trailblazer. If you're a career person, be a bastion. Do great things with your financial planning. If you're a stay-at-home mom, be a champion. Financial independence doesn't mean you're the breadwinner. Exactly. It just means that you're informed and knowledgeable and you're making the decision from an independent place. Exactly. Not a codependent place. So tell me something fabulous about Liz. How are you defining success in 2023?
I think that for me, success in 2023 is going to be doing what's best for me and just being unapologetic about it. Yes. And that's hard, right? I mean, it's so easy to say, and it actually feels even
when you say it out loud. Yeah, you just said it out loud.
You're oh man. But yeah, that's my goal. So
that's great. I love that goal. Thank you so much for being here.
I
love working with you. I think the Freckled Strawberries love working with you. We've already had some success a few times over, and there's lots more to come. So thank you again for being here.
Thank you. My pleasure.